the pedal?
Oh, I'll calm down. The second is just playing.
Sound.
Do you like it?
There's some kind of buzzing hum.
Oh, it's the speaker.
Oh.
It's AC.
Oh, there's a speaker?
Where's
AC?
AC.
AC.
It's AC.
Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong vibration. Yours is
Sounds
a
on
little
just
higher.
until.
His head is at the top.
Yeah.
We have a backup. We have a backup? You can charge it now. Okay, you know, I think we can charge it now.
I can plug it in right here and you can use it.
I got
you
another
can use it plugged
charger.
in.
Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Madakalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parichata Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Shakampitanscha Om Nayanatyanasya Yanatyanasatagaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvaya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Mahadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Namaste Namo Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudhadevi Pranamami Ayuriye Jayatam Surato Pango Mahamanda Materaki Matsavasa Padambojo Radha Madana Mono Titya Vrindaranya Kalpa Dukada
Srimaratnagara Simhasanasto Sri Govinda Devo Prestalibi Senyamano Smarami Sri Radha Sarasarami Vamsi Vata Tatastita Karsan Venu Svane Gopi Gopinathaya Shri Estuna Vrindaya Tulasi Devaya Vyayate Savasucha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Satvate Namo Namaha Panchatapakamam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktavyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Jai Shri Guru, bring a kalpataru.
If, in case you didn't know, if that's what we sung some bhajans already.
Oh.
Yeah.
We did the crown, but we did the crown.
We did Guru, Vaishnav, Nityananda, and Gaur. So Radha Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, let me sing one thing too.
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu.
Since Mahaprabhu is here waiting for
Yeah.
you.
What is it, Jai Jai?
Page 29.
So sing to her and then Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Jai Jai Sundar Nandan.
Jai Jai Sundara Sundara. Page 344.
Jai Shestam manamapi Sachiputram Patra Surupam Rupam Tasakachamuri Purim Mathurim Ushtuvaiti Radha Kunyagivaram Ahoradikamadavasam Prapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Radha Bhaktaya Namo Namaste Ananda Leelaya Vigrahaya Hemavadivakshami Sundaraya Tasmaya Prema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakshay Shivastakamadikaram Kamati Vivamayitam Sharanam Prakaram Vrinde Namaste Sharanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Sharanarvindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Hare Krishna Hare Radha Hare Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Sham Sundar Shikandasitik Smaha Samurali Manada Radhikar Sukamam Kripanidhe Swapriya Chara Kinkarim Kuru Tavaivasmi Nadivavitayavana Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Nayam Sarantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramaradhatama, Guru Pada Padma, the Nitya Leela Pravishya Om Vishnu Pahari, Ashtotara Satasri, Rupanuga Acharyavarya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev and to Srila Prabhupada and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Today, we are so fortunate to celebrate the Adivastiti of the appearance of Srila Jiva Goswami. It's his appearance date tomorrow. So if you start the day before, this is called the Adivat Stiti. There's no harm in starting 1 day, 2 days, 5 days before to celebrate the appearance of such a great Acharya as our most dear Srila Jiva Goswami Pad. Ishwarera Jannatiti Jayino Pavitra. Hey Mata Vaishnavera Tichara Charitra. Srila Vrindavan Thakur said, just as the appearance days of the Supreme Lord are pavitra, supremely pure and transcendental. So Vaishnavera, Emata Titira Charitra, the appearance days of pure Vaishnavas are just as glorious. So don't think that the appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is less than Janmastami or Radhastami or Nishinga Chaturdasi or Gaura Purnima. In fact, Sri Krishna said, Mad Bhakta Puja Vyadika, the worship of my devotees superior to my worship. Pratamantum Garum Pujam Tatastaivam Amarchanam Kurvam Siddhim Avapnoti Yanyata Nishvala Bhavet. Krishna said, first, worship my devotee. Then after that you can worship me. If you do this, rather if you don't do this, then we cannot guarantee that there will be the attainment of your destination of perfection. But if you do this, if you worship the Vaishnava first, then it is guaranteed that one will attain all perfection in Shuddha Bhakti. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Yad Bhagavata Mahatmyam Bhagavat Bhakti Vardhanam. By listening to the glories of a pure Vaishnava, then our devotion to Sri Krishna is Vardhanam, increased more and more. So we're very fortunate today and tomorrow to be celebrating the appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad. He appeared in the earlier part of the 16th century in the village of Ramkeli as the son of Vallabha Malik, the younger brother of Sarkar Malik and Dabir Kas. Later, Sarkar Malik became known as, famous as Srila Sanatana Goswami. Dabir Kas became famous as Srila Rupa Goswami. So that's a good start to life when you're born and your uncles are Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. His father's name was Anupam Malik. Excuse me, his father's name was Vallabha Malik, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Anupam. Anupam means incomparable in Sanskrit poetics. Upama Alankar means a simile. When we say, you are as strong as Hanuman. So, you are strong like Hanuman. This is a simile. So, Anupama means without simile, without a comparison. So it's a name for Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is Anupama. There's no comparison. Just as he said, Gaganam, Gaganakaram, Sagaraha, Sagarupamaha, Rama Ravanayor Yudham, Rama Ravanayo Iva. Just as the sky is so vast. What can we compare it with? The sky is so vast, it can only be compared to the sky. There's nothing else to compare it with itself. Sagara, Sagarupama. The ocean is so great, so deep. There's nothing to compare it with. Rama, Ravanayo Yudham. And the ferocious battle of Ram and Ravan. Rama, Ravanayo Iva. Can only be compared to itself. These are all Anupama, incomparable. So Krishna, his beauty can only be compared to himself. Sometimes the devotees offer prayers. Oh my Lord, your eyes are beautiful like a lotus flower. Your face is beautiful like the moon. But later, when they have realization, then they apologize. Oh Krishna, please forgive me for my clumsy expressions. How I dare to compare your eyes to the lotus flower. Your eyes are much more beautiful than a lotus flower. Your face is much more cooling and effulgent than the moon. So in the Vedas it is said, neti, neti, neti. This is not impersonalism. It means not this, not this, not this. You cannot compare Krishna with this, you cannot compare Krishna to this and not with this. Because he is Anupama. Incomparable. So Mahaprabhu gave this name to his father. And he was Anupama, an incomparable father, because no father has given birth to a son like Srila Jiva Goswami. Perhaps you know that Srila Vyasadeva has compiled the Mahabharata, 100,000 verses of Sanskrit poetry describing the history of Bharat and its connection with Krishna and his devotees. 100,000 verses. You can put the Iliad and the Odyssey several times within the Mahabharata. It's such a vast epic. 100,000 verses. But Srila Jiva Goswami wrote 400,000 verses. Just digest that for a moment. And not 400,000 verses like your Facebook posts. Just, absent-minded rambling about this and that with so many typos. No. No. Perfect. Deep, profound Siddhanta. Very deep and mysterious. Today I was thinking I want to go into some of the deep Siddhanta of Srila Rupa Goswami. But I changed my mind because it's the first day.
Oh.
No, I have to be a little soft on the first day. Otherwise, you may not come back. So tomorrow we'll go a little bit more deeply. But today we'll just discuss something about his life and just touch on his literary contribution and teachings. He wrote Sri Harinamamrita Vyakaranam. It is a Sanskrit grammar. But he said, the students, they suffer so much crawling through the hot sand in the dry desert of learning Sanskrit grammar. So for them, I am presenting this Harinamamrita Vyakaranam, a grammar which is amrita, full of nectar of the holy name. And just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came back from Gaya, after being initiated by Srila Ishwara Puripad, when he came to teach in the Sanskrit school, then he explained how every word, every noun, every verb, all the declensions and cases and tenses, all mean Krishna. So just as Nimai Pandit, when he'd become enlightened by the mercy of his Gurudev, Srila Ishwara Puripad, after initiation in Gaya, described grammar, everything in terms of Krishna Nam. So in the same, no one had written it down, but Srila Jiva Goswami has manifested those very teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Narayana Udbhuto Kram Varnakramaha. Narayana Udbhuto Yam Varnakramaha. All the letters of the alphabet have come from Lord Narayan. So because the Supreme Lord has a mouth, so the arrangement of letters are coming in accordance with the shape of the mouth of Lord Narayan. So first the gutturals. Kakagaga, kakagagana. And so then he speaks the palatals, the dentals, the labials, coming from the back of the throat to the roof of the mouth and the teeth and the lips, like this. So everything is arranged in a beautiful way that it reminds you of Krishna. The vowels, a, I, I, u, o, they are called sarveshwaras. Sarveshwara. Why? Because they're independent. They can be pronounced by themselves. But the consonants are called Vishnujanas. Vishnujan, the devotees. because the devotee cannot exist independently of the Supreme Lord. So just as consonants cannot be pronounced without vowels, so they are Vishnu Jan, but the vowels are Sarveshvara. Of course you have short vowels and long vowels. So the short vowels is called Vaman. After Lord Vaman there, because he's very short. And when becomes long, then they're called Trivikram. Because Lord Vamandev, he took 3 steps and became very huge. If there's a conjunct of consonants, 2 consonants come together, it's called a satsang. And if there's a short letter, which in the chanda, in the meter, sometimes you have light syllables which are light, lagu, and sometimes you have syllables which are heavy, guru. They have stress on them. So if you have a light syllable and it comes before a conjunct of consonants, then when you pronounce that, then that syllable will become guru, it will become heavy. So how can you remember that? Oh, when a lagu, that means a lightweight or insignificant person, comes before satsang, the association of saintly persons, he becomes guru. In this way, all the rules of Sanskrit grammar, everything from top to bottom, is all Harikatha and Harinam, beautiful names of Sri Krishna. So, Harinamamrita Bhakan, he also wrote commentaries on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, revealing the very deep points which were incomprehensible and inaccessible to an ordinary person. So he wrote Durgam Sangamanitika, the commentary which makes clear the points that would ordinarily be incomprehensible. He wrote a commentary, Lochan Rochanitika, on Sri Ujjwala Nilamani also. And he commented again and again. He had so much taste for Srimad Bhagavatam, just as Srila Vyasadeva had said. Nigama kalpata goro galitam palam shukamukadamrita travasam yutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhur ahur rasika bhuvi bhavakaha. Oh Rasikas, muhur ahur rasika bhuvi bhavakaha. You are Rasik and you are Bhavuk. You are experiencing divine emotions and transcendental Bhakti Ras. Pibata Bhagavatam, Rasamalayam. Drink this Srimad Bhagavatam. Rasamalayam means it is the abode of Rasa. Alay means fainting in ecstasy. So drink it until you faint in ecstasy. Muhur means again. And then when you wake up, drink it again and faint again. So, Srila Jiva Goswami has such taste by the mercy of his Gurudev. In Srimad Bhagavatam, he could not stop commenting and explaining it. He wrote the Lagu Vaishnav Toshini, Kram Sandarbha. He gave some, instead of those commentaries, follow verse by verse. But then again he commented, arranging all the subjects into Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. Understanding our relationship, the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the living entities and Maya and his spiritual Shaktis. Abhideya, the process of bhakti, and Prayojan, the ultimate goal of life. So in 4 sandarbhas, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha and Krishna Sandarbha, he explains Sambandha Jnana. In 1 Sandarbha, he explained Bhakti Sandarbha, and then the Prayojan, so that was the Abhideya. Then he explained the Prayojan in Priti Sandarbha. After that, he commented on his own Sandarbhas, in Sarva Samvadini. Then, he retold the whole 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in Gopal Champu, revealing so many profound rasic insights into every lila, especially how each lila is connected to the next. In what way the lila is flowing and why. we'll discuss at the end, because the rasa should be at the end. Madhurena it's about that. One should end with the dessert. Don't start with the dessert. So, in this way, he wrote a commentary on Gopaltapani Upanishad, on Brahma Samhita, on the Gayatri Vasya, based on Agni Purana. So many texts. It is a great ocean. And this is really why he is our shelter in life. Because bhakti is like a current. It should be flowing. Always new. If water is in one place and not flowing, then what happens? It becomes stagnant. It smells bad and becomes full of mosquitoes. So if in your heart you're not feeling yourself daily progressing, fresh and new in devotional service, then you have become disconnected. And then what will happen? Your heart will become dark and smell bad. Full of mosquitoes. So many desires, envy, criticism, politics are horrible. So Srila Jiva Goswami is very merciful that he wrote 400,000 verses in your whole life. It will be very difficult just to skim through them. What to speak of actually deeply study them and understand them. So in this way, Jiva Goswami has made the arrangements that all Gaudiyas can discover new, fresh, and wonderful all the time. So Gaurang Gera Sangigani, Nityasiddha Korimani, say Jai Brajendra Sutapas. Srila Narottam Das Thakur said, a person who knows, who accepts that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, such as the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, are Nityasiddha, eternally perfect, his eternally perfect associates from Nitya Navadvip Dham, in one Swarup, and in another Swarup. They are the eternally perfect associates of Radha and Krishna. One who deeply accepts that in his heart, then say Jai Brajendra Sutapas, he can easily go to Goloka Vrindavan and be near the son of Nanda Maharaj. So, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, when he was a small baby in the village of Ram Kelly, at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set out from Jagannath Puri to go to Vrindavan. His first attempt to go to Vrindavan, he didn't make it that time because he came back. But on that attempt, he came to the village of Ram Kelly. And at that time, Rup Sanatan and Anupam met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Anupama took the little baby Jiva and put him down at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in this way, from his very infancy, he received mercy of Mahaprabhu. So in his childhood, he did not play ordinary material games just for enjoyment with the other boys. He would only play games that were related to the pastimes of Krishna. He made deities of Krishna and Balaram with his own hands. And he used to offer flowers to them, offer bhog to them, offer prayers to them, and bow down to them with tears in his eyes, and then just sit there staring and stunned. He himself looked like a golden doll looking at the deities of Krishna and Balaram. After some time, on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his father and Srila Rupa Goswami set off to go to Vrindavan. But when they were on their way back, Anupama became ill and passed away. Rupa Goswami Pad returned to his village, and now Jiva Goswami, he went back to his family's previous village in Bakla Chandradweep. And Rupa Goswami, when he left home, he donated half of his money in charity to Vaishnava Brahmanas. 1/4 of his money he kept with a grocer for in case there was some emergency in the future. Some gold coins he kept with someone in Gouda in Ram Kelly, and that was used to pay a bribe to get Srila Sanatana Goswami out of jail. He gave to the jailer. But 1/4 of his money he kept with his family to pay for the education of Jiva Goswami. Very good investment. We're very grateful for that. So in his childhood, he had a very brilliant education and quickly became expert in grammar and logic and in Shastras. When the news came that his father had passed away, and then Rupa and Sanatan, they became completely renounced, and they went to go to Vrindavan and sometimes be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. Then the young Jiva also became completely detached from this world. Remember, his family were very close. His uncle, Sanatana Goswami, was the prime minister of the empire of Nawab Hussain Shah. So the young Jiva was like a prince, dressed in beautiful, expensive silk clothing and decorated with so many jewels. But once his father had passed away and his uncles had left home, then took off the jewels. No silk cloth, very simple cloth. Even he would not sleep upon a bed. He would sleep on the floor. He could not bear to hear any news of this world, of material news, or politics, or anything. Who's controlling? Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. He could not bear to hear any news of this world. This is very important. Especially nowadays. Many devotees are becoming distracted by so-called current affairs. At the time of Rupa and Sanatan, why was Sanatana Goswami put in jail? Because the Nawab Hussain Shah was about to embark on an invasion of Orissa. So very big wars were going on. Prataparudra Maharaj fought against him in the north. And at the same time, the king of Krishnanagar in the south, when he saw the Prataparudra was fighting in the north, he invaded from the south. And Prataparudra had to gallop with his whole army and elephants all the way back to the south to fight with him. It was a chaotic time, war everywhere. Some parts of India, most were ruled by Muslims. A few strong places, like some parts of Rajasthan, the kings of Jaipur and Orissa, they were strong. And they kept out the various Islamic kings, who themselves also were fighting with each other. They were not in accord with each other, because some had invaded from Afghanistan and some had come from the side of Turkey. So they were also not in agreement with each other. So there was chaos and war everywhere. So don't think that you're the only persons who live in a time in history which is, problematic. Everyone thinks, no. The world is always like this. So don't pay attention to it. Try to be like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying in the Gambhira, always absorbed in Harinam and Harikatha with Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda. Dine Nritya Kirtan Ishwara Darshan Ratri Swarup Rai Sani Rasa Aswadan. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad said, in the daytime, Mahaprabhu would dance in Kirtan and go for the darshan of Lord Jagannath. And in the night time, then he would do Rasa Swadan, relishing Bhakti Rasa with his very intimate associates, Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda. And he wants to stay there in that avesh, absorption, and not be disturbed. One day, the brother of Ramananda Rai, Gopinath Patanayak, he made some joke with the king's son, with the prince. He was trying to sell some horses to the prince, but the prince didn't want to pay. He thought he was giving not enough money. So this prince, he had a nervous twitch. He kept going like this. So when they were arguing over the price, then Gopinath Patnaik said, look, my horses these are first class horses, they don't go like this all the time. So then the prince became angry and arrested him. And said, take him on the changa. It's a high platform and they throw you off and you land and you're impaled on spears.
Oh my God.
So when the news came that he'd been arrested and he was going to be executed, then the devotees came running to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Radhakanta Mat, the Gambhira, the house of Kashi Mishra. Oh Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu, please, help, help, help. Why? What happened? Oh, the Ramanand Rai's brother Gopinath Patnaik has been arrested by the prince and is executing him. Why? Well, he made a joke and Mahaprabhu said, oh, yes, that's what happens. Can't make fun of the royal family like this. It's just common sense. So Mahaprabhu is, yes, so? He said, no, he's Ramanand Rai's brother. You have to do something to save him. Mahaprabhu said, if you come here again, speaking mundane things to me, I will leave this place. And I'll go and stay alone in Brahmagiri at the temple of Alanath Dev. That's Mahaprabhu's Dvitiya sannyas. His first sannyas is Navadvip, and he leaves all his Navadvip associates. And now he's only with the very high-level Vaishnavas and renunciates in Jagannath Puri. But now he's threatening Dvitiya sannyas, his second sannyas, to give up the second set of associates and go and be alone at Alanath. And he used to do it every year for 15 days after the Snan Yatra of Lord Jagannath and before the Rath Yatra. At that time he used to go there. So then the devotees became afraid. And they never came and bothered him again with mundane news. So, actually, when Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas to Srila Gauragovinda Maharaj, he told him, you can read the newspaper every day, 5 minutes. You should look at it. Srila Gauragovinda was like, why? Because he's so beyond this world. Srila Prabhupada said, look, for preaching, you should know something. Let know something that's happening. Otherwise, the general people may think you're foolish. I said, okay. So, but otherwise, be careful. This is, Rupa Goswami has said, 6 things destroy bhakti. Atyahar prayasascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, janasangastuloyamcha, sadvi bhakti, vinasyati. Atyahara, overeating. Don't get fat. If you get fat, it will destroy your bhakti. You have high blood pressure, diabetes, and then your mind will always go up and down. When your blood sugar goes down, you become angry and make Vaishnava aparat. So don't overeat. Lean and thin is favorable for bhajan, my Gurudev used to say. Overeating will make one be in the mode of ignorance and sleep too much. So don't overeat. Atyahara priyasascha, don't over endeavor in worldly things. Prajalpa. Prajalpa means mundane talk. Mind absorbed in the affairs of this world. Niyamagraha. Following rules and regulations only for the sake of following. Or whimsically rejecting rules and regulations. Janasanga. Associating with materialistic persons. Lobh. And being greedy for mundane achievements. These 6 things are very dangerous. They destroy bhakti. If you don't listen to the warnings of Rupa Goswami in this verse, then your activities in this life may add up to naught, to 0. So be very, very careful. So this verse spoken by Maitreya Rishi, Srila Jiva Goswami has given a very beautiful explanation. He's saying, Swasantu rupe sutara surupe abhyajamaneshu anukampitatma paravareshu mahadam suyukto yajo pijato bhagavan jitagni. It's a very important verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it helps us have a transcendental vision towards the world. Maitreya Rishi is saying, and this is Srila Jiva Goswami's explanation. So it's very appropriate on this day. Maitreya Rishi is saying, and Srila Jiva Goswami explained, Swashantarupeshu. It means the Supreme Lord's own, Swa, Shanta, peaceful roop, forms. The Supreme Lord has peaceful forms. Who are they? The pure Vaishnavas. Bhagavat Tanunam. The pure Vaishnavas are one form of God in this world. Guru Krishna Rupaya Shastra Pramani. Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karin Bhaktagani. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad is saying, Guru is Krishna Rup, one form of Krishna. But it is not his original Swarup by appearance, but rather it is the form in which the original Swarup of Krishna distributes his mercy in this world. So Sakshat Ritvena Samasta Shastre. All the scriptures say that Sri Guru is Sakshat Hari. If you think that Gurudev is just a pandit, or a rishi, muni, a learned sage, then everything will be lost. One should not even think that Gurudev is a manifestation of some angsa or kala, expansion or avatar, or expansion of Krishna, like Vishnu, Kurma, Varaha, Matsya, or any incarnation. Sakshat Hari, directly see Krishna himself. Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Pradey Guru Macha Saddhi Sutam Tasya Sarvam Kunjur Sochavat. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati. Gurudev is directly the Supreme Lord. That person, Jnana Deepa Pradey Guru, who gives the lamp, the deep, the illumination of transcendental knowledge, is directly one form of the Supreme. Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Pradey Guru. Matya Saddhi Sutam Tasya. And if a person has asaddhi, that means a material conception, not sat, true, asat, an untrue material conception, then, that material conception is martya. Martya, the English word mortal, comes from. If a person thinks that their Gurudev is an ordinary mortal being who is subject to birth and death and karma like everyone else, then sarvam kunjara sochavat, all of his study of the Vedas is like the bathing of an elephant. Elephant was covered in dust, so he went into the river and washed off all the dust. But as soon as the elephant comes out from the river, then with their trunk they grab the dust and they throw it all over themselves again, and they're back to where they started. So those who will have a material conception of Sri Guru, Guru cleans them, and then the next moment they're filthy again. Why? Matya Saddhi, due to material conception of Guru. So, Swasanta Rupesh, in this verse, Maitreya Rishi is saying, the pure devotees, they are Krishna's forms wandering in this world, distributing his mercy. Itarai Swarupaya. And there are other forms. Itara means the opposite. The opposite of peaceful and spiritual is aggressive, violent, and material and tamasic. So there are other forms in this world. They are the demons. They're always making problems, fighting. And especially, Abhyadhyamaneswanukampitatma, they also give problems to the devotees. When they give problems to other materialistic persons, the Supreme Lord never becomes involved. Supreme Lord is not involved in the lives of persons who don't have transcendental bhakti, because the Lord is transcendental and he only interacts with his transcendental Shakti. He doesn't interact with Maya. So those who are in Maya, they are on their own. So this is why you can see that when the demons, they take over heaven, right? Hiranyakashipu took over heaven, kicked out Indra, everyone. Supreme Lord didn't come and save him. Balimraj came and took over heaven, and Indra was kicked out. Only when a pure devotee prays to the Supreme Lord, then he becomes involved. So when Hiranyakashipu would try to harm Prahlad Maharaj, then Supreme Lord appeared to save Prahlad Maharaj, primarily. And incidentally, demons got killed. So the Supreme Lord interacts with his devotees. So here, what is important here, so Santarupe Shitara Swarupaya, that the forms which are not devotees, which are materialistic, which are demons and which are making problems, they're also called Swarup here, the Lord's own forms. What does that mean? Think about it. That means everyone on all sides, these are forms of the Lord. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. This world is the Virat Rupa of the Supreme Lord. Why are you going into duality and the confusion and arguing about this and that and this side and this conflict and everything? This was Arjuna's problem in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He was lost in that. Later he saw the universal form. He said, oh my Lord, you are everything. Then he became peaceful. It's like after Lord Nishingadev had appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu, Lord Brahma, he offered prayers after Lord Nishingadev had been calmed down by Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Brahma offered prayers. He said, oh my Lord, it was you who inspired the four Kumaras to curse Jaya and Vijay. Oh my Lord, it was you who inspired me to give, when Jaya and Vijay came to this world, and one became Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, it was you who inspired me to give the benedictions to Hiranyakashipu. It was your arrangement that Prahlad was born in his family. And it was your arrangement that then Hiranyakashipu gave problems to Prahlad and then you came and saved him. It was all you. Brahmaji offers prayers like this. And similarly, that same Lord Brahma, he came in Gaur Lila, as Srila Haridas Thakur. And when Srila Sanatana Goswami wanted to kill himself because his body was covered in sores, rotten pus and blood, but Mahaprabhu kept embracing him. So he wanted to die. Eventually, Mahaprabhu embraced him one day, and all of his body was completely cured, and he became healthy and golden and beautiful again. And when Haridas Thakur saw it, he said, oh my Lord, it was you who inspired him to drink the contaminated water in the Jarakanda forest and give him the skin disease in order to test him. And now it is you who embraced him and has taken it away. Like this. So don't go in duality. Be bewildered. Be peaceful. Because Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Supreme Lord is everywhere. And the only responsibility, Svada Shabde Vishwas Kahi Sudrida Nishtai, Krishna Bhakti Koila Sabakama Kritahoy. Faith means the unflinching conviction that simply by serving Krishna, every other responsibility has been fulfilled. Nothing else to do. So Suswanta Rupesh Trasupa Avyabhina Anukampita Paravaresho means the Supreme Lord of Para and Avara, of the spiritual energy and the material energy. Mahadansa Yukto appears in this world with his anksas. That is, when Krishna appears here, it's not only Krishna, but Vishnu and all the incarnations, everyone, they're inside the Swarup of Krishna. So Krishna actually doesn't kill demons, it's Vishnu within him who kills the demons. So Yajopi Jato Bhagavan Yatagni, my Lord, you appear with all your various expansions and expansions of expansions, just like fire appears from wood. So don't think that Krishna comes to this world from Goloka Vrindavan. He descends. No, he was already here. He's always here. In Vrindavan. He's in Vrindavan today. That's why I live in Vrindavan. When you can get your visa again, please try to come. Vrindavan is Krishna's Nityadam. He's always playing there. Only sometimes he's prakat, manifested, sometimes he's apakat. So don't think he's coming from there. He's always there. Adhyapya se lila, kori gaur rai, kon bhagavani deki paripai. In Chaitanya Bhagavata said, even today, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his dham And Krishna in his Dham, they're doing their leelas right now. But only those who are fortunate and have eyes to see can see it. So, this is Srila Jiva Goswami's explanation of this verse. We're discussing how when his father passed away and his uncles left home, now he became very much udasin, means indifferent to everything of this world. And one night, in a dream, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing in kirtan. And he became overwhelmed with separation and decided to leave home forever. So he set off from Bakla Chandradweep on foot and walked all the way to Navadvip Dham. And when he came to Mayapur, Antadweep, he came to the house of Srivas Thakur, where he was welcomed by Srivas Thakur, and someone else was visiting the house at the time. Paripavana Parvataya Premadata Padmavati Kumasri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad fell at the feet of Nitai, and Nityananda Prabhu put his lotus feet on the head of Jiva Goswami. Infused him with so much Kripa Shakti, and then picked him up and embraced him. Jiva Goswami was fainting. When he came to sense, tears were flowing from his eyes, and overwhelmed with love and in Ananda. Nityananda was always in Nitya Ananda, always in bliss. Nityananda said, I came here very quickly from Kardaha, just for you. Because perhaps you know, after being married to Janava and Vasudha, then Nityananda made his base in Kardaha. Said, I came running here from Kardaha just to see you. And then Nityananda took Srila Jiva Goswami Pad on the complete parikrama of the 9 islands of Navadvip. And that all those beautiful pastimes have been described. Not all, because unlimited, but some pastimes on all the islands have been described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. So after traveling all over Navadvip Dham, then Jiva Goswami Pad said, Oh Nityananda Prabhu, please allow me to stay with you forever in Navadvip Dham. But Nityananda Prabhu said, no, you have to go. Where? To Kashi. Mayavadi place. But there was a reason. He said you should go to Vrindavan because Mahaprabhu has given this place as the Prabhudata Desh, the place given to your family. Rupa and Sanatana are already there. But on the way, you should go to Kashi, to Banaras. And you should study under the guidance of Madhusudan Vachaspati. Madhusudan Vachaspati was the very favorite disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, and he listened to the Vedanta Sutra for 7 days and nights from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, just without any response. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, oh, usually when I'm speaking to someone, they have some expression on their face that, by which I can see that they understand or they don't understand or they ask some questions. But you are expressionless and motionless. How can I know if you understand? Mahaprabhu said, yes, I understand the sutras very well because they are shining like the sun. But your explanation is like dark clouds covering the real meaning. So then, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, you explain. And then Mahaprabhu cut all the arguments and explanations of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, which was based on Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, Sharyakavasya, and completely defeated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and also gave him darshan of his Sadbhuta Rup. So, Mahaprabhu's explanation of Vedanta was with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He taught it to his disciple, Madhusudan Vachaspati. Madhusudan Vachaspati went to teach that Vedanta in Varanasi, where all Vedanta scholars, they gravitate there to learn Vedanta. So he went there to teach. And Nityananda Prabhu sent Jiva Goswami to go to Varanasi and thereby receive the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And later Jiva Goswami would write about that. You can see he's explained the first 5 sutras of Vedanta Sutra cover everything. If you comment on that, it's considered also a complete commentary. So he's given that commentary in the end of Paramatma Sandarbha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own explanation. So Nityananda Prabhu, having given this order to Jiva Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, his heart, on the one hand, breaking in separation from Nityananda Prabhu, but on the other hand, knowing that all auspiciousness comes in life when we follow the order of Sri Guru. And Nityananda Prabhu is Akhanda Guru Tattva, the original undivided Guru. There is only one Guru, Nityananda Prabhu. And if anyone else is Guru, it's because his Shakti he's invested his Shakti in that person. So Jiva Goswami set out and he went to Varanasi, and there he studied Vedanta, that means all the Saddarshans as well, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya, Yoga Sutras, Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa, Janini's Karma Kanda. And then from there he came to Vrindavan and he was under the guidance of Srila Rupa Goswami. At that time, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad was staying in Sevakunj. His bhajan kutir was there, and Srila Jiva Goswami was serving him in the very hot summer. Very hot summer. When Rupa Goswami was sitting and writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjwala Nilamani, then Jiva Goswami would stand and fan him. Out of mercy, Srila Rupa Goswami would say, "Oh, can you do the proofreading?" On the pretext of asking him to proofread, then he, by force, made him the first recipient of all the rasa of his writings. Srila Rupa Goswami, when he took rest, Srila Jiva Goswami would massage his lotus feet. Every morning he would do Guru Puja and wash his feet and drink the Charnamrita. So in this way, with great love, he served his Diksha Guru. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad had only one Diksha disciple. Many Siksha disciples, but only one Diksha disciple, Srila Jiva Goswami. One day, Jiva Goswami was fanning Rupa Goswami. Very hot day in the summer. And a great scholar arrived there. Vallabhabhatta. Rupa Goswami Pad was very respectful to him. So, when he said, "Oh, can I look at your work?" Rupa Goswami Pad says, "Please, if there's any mistake, correct it." So then, Vallabhabhatta was looking, then he gave it back, and he said, yes, I'll give some corrections later. Jiva Goswami was standing there fanning, and he could not tolerate it. How can someone say there is some mistake in the words of Gurudev? Because he has Shishya Abhiman. Unless one becomes Sat Shishya, bona fide disciple, one cannot realize Krishna. Bayam dvitya abhiniveshatasya ishatape tasya viparya smriti tanmaya ato buddha adavattam bhaktyarikayesham guru devatatma. In Bhagavatam it is said, and Mahaprabhu taught to Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, that when a person, their consciousness turns away from the Supreme Lord, at once viparya smriti, they become in a state of forgetfulness, and viparya, that means avidya, asmita, ignorance, ego, rag, dvesh, attachment, aversion, and abhinivesh, absorption in material things. Now they're in Maya, and due to this bayam dutya abhinivesh, they become filled with fear, anxiety, so many worries, due to absorption in dutya, something other than God, a second thing. There is no second thing. The truth is advaita, non-dual. But bayam dutya abhinivesh, now they become absorbed in, as if there's something other than the Supreme Lord. So how can they come out of Maya? Tanmaya to Buddha abhijittam. Bhagavatam is saying, because it's Krishna's Maya, you can only get out by serving Krishna. But in Maya I cannot see Krishna, so how can I serve him? Okay, problem solved. Bhaktyayaka yesham Guru Deva Tatma. You accept your Guru Deva as Deva, as Supreme Lord. You cannot see the Supreme Lord with your eyes now. So you think, oh, Supreme Lord has appeared to me in a form that I can see. This is Guru Deva. Guru Deva Atma. And Atma means accept Guru Deva as your soul. Your very self. Just like an ordinary person is always doing stuff for themselves. So accept Gurudev is my Atma and do everything for Gurudev. So Bhaktyayaka yesham Gurudeva Tatma Vishram Baina Guru Srila. With extreme faith. And one point is dedication. Accepting Gurudev as one's life and soul. I will die without Gurudev's seva. Then, only then can one be relieved from the bewilderment of Maya. So Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was serving his guru like that. Could not tolerate that Vallabha had said there was something wrong with his writing. So Vallabha went to the river to take bath in Jamuna, and Rupa Goswami, on the pretext of fetching water, he took a clay pot as a pretext and set off, and then at the river he met with him. Oh, sir, have you seen some mistake? Then Vallabha began to explain what he thought was wrong. And then Jiva Goswami corrected him. They had a debate for some time, and Vallabha, who was an older person and very established and respected acharya with disciples all over India, he was completely defeated by Jiva Goswami. And he was actually very impressed. And he went back to Rupa Goswami and said, "Your disciple is so qualified." He glorified him, actually. But when he glorified him, then Rupa Goswami could understand, oh, he's gone to this elderly person who is very respectful and respectable, dignified, honorable, and he's corrected him. Then, in front of Vallabha, you see, Vaishnava Paradi is very subtle. You may not make offense to someone, but it could be that that person thinks that through someone else you have offended. If someone is in your underling, or you are the guardian of someone, then maybe you inspire them to make an offense also. So what to speak of make an offense, one should be so gentle and act in such a way that no one will even think that you have made offense, even if you haven't. That is there in the pastime of Kanji Krishna Das. You know? On another day, Rupa Goswami's day, we'll discuss that. But Rupa Goswami, in front of Vallabha, to reassure him, he said, "Oh, Jiva, any person who takes pleasure in anyone who's eager to establish or assert their own self-worth, or anyone who takes pleasure in the humiliation of others, is not fit to live in Vrindavan Dham. Now go. Come back when you cool down and you become calm." Rupa Goswami sent him, "Go back to Bengal, where you came from." Nearly 2,000 kilometers away. And he sent him away. Jiva Goswami was heartbroken, and he left Vrindavan. But Braj has 12 forests. He didn't go back to Bengal, but he just went over the border of the forest of Vrindavan to the next forest. And there, just north of Vrindavan, on the bank of the Jamuna, there's a place called Nandaghat. And in the bank of the Jamuna, there was a hole where a crocodile used to live. So it was a disused crocodile hole, and Jiva went there and sat there, and he was crying. "Ah Gurudev, ah Gurudev." And continuously chanting Harinam. He did not eat, he did not sleep. He became lean and thin, he became quite sick even. But he was just crying, "Ah Gurudev, please be merciful to me, please accept me." and chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After some time, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, he used to do parikrama all over Braja. And all the Brijbasis loved him. They call him Bada Baba, because he's the senior among the 6 Goswamis. So he was walking in the village there, and one Brijbasi said, "Oh, Bada Baba, I always thought that you were very austere and very renounced and detached. But now I see one Baba, he is more austere and detached than you, even." Sanatana Goswami said, "Really? Where? I want to have sadhu sangha. Can you show me him?" "Of course, come with me." And then he took Sanatana Goswami to that cave of the crocodile. And there he saw Rupa Goswami, about to die. Sorry, Jiva Goswami. About to die, so lean and thin and quite sick. And when Sanatana Goswami saw this, his heart was completely melted. And he picked up Jiva and brought him back to Vrindavan. Then he went to Seva Kunj, where Srila Rupa Goswami Pad was giving Harikatha, giving a class, and he was speaking. Sanatana Goswami came there. He said, "Oh Rupa, you are giving a very learned discourse, but I think that you have forgotten the basic teachings of our Lord Mahaprabhu." Srila Rupa Goswami said, "Oh, Prabhupada," because he calls Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada. "Prabhupada, what do you mean?" Sanatana Goswami Pad said, "Remember, try to remember the teachings of Mahaprabhu." Rupa Goswami God was thinking, okay, first of all, Name Ruchi, taste in the holy name. Then, Jiva Daya, show mercy to all living entities. Sanatana Goswami Pad said, "Yes, you have forgotten this. Jiva Daya, mercy to Jiva." And then he took Rupa Goswami to where Jiva Goswami was lying and very ill. And Rupa Goswami embraced his dedicated disciple and took care of him, feeding him with his own hands and giving him medicine, everything, and nursed him back to health. So this is a very beautiful pastime. Some Sahaja, Prakrita Sahaja devotees, they don't respect Srila Jiva Goswami. They try to point out some fault in him. They say, Mahaprabhu was taught to narapi suniche na, but Jiva Goswami was not more humble than a blade of grass, because he went to a senior Vaishnava and then quarreled with him and defeated him. So he has some false ego. But this is quite wrong. There was no fault in Srila Jiva Goswami. Then maybe there's fault in Rupa Goswami because he chastised a faultless disciple? No, there's no fault in Rupa Goswami either. Because it's the prerogative of Gurudev to give shasan, discipline, to the Shishya. Shishya means disciple, means who is under the shasana, the discipline of Guru. So, Gurudev can, though Gurudev sees Krishna everywhere and never sees a fault in anyone, he thinks, oh, everyone is serving Krishna except for me. But in order to teach the disciples, then his binoculars, which are looking very far away, he changes the focus. So then he has a vision like a Madhyam. Gurudev is not Madhyam, but his vision becomes like that, so he can discriminate who is envious, who is innocent, and who is a devotee, and give mercy accordingly. So, Rupa Goswami never sees fault in anyone. But Guru, he must see the fault in the disciple and mercifully give some correction and chastisement. And sometimes Gurudev may chastise the disciple for something he didn't do. This is only for the advanced disciples, not for the ordinary ones. For the ordinary ones, they have... This is like a penta. My Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, he used to say that nowadays, you have to blow on penta. That means if in Bengal, if you have rice at night time, then whatever's left over, it's put in water. And the next morning, it can be served at breakfast time. Cold rice from the water. Cold rice. So, if you have rice and it's hot, then you might blow on it before eating. But cold rice which has been in the water, do you have to blow? No, you don't. But in Kali Yuga now, you can never be too careful. You even have to blow on the cold rice. That means that in Kali Yuga, disciples are so puffed up. They're so arrogant in ego, they think they can teach their guru. And if Gurudev will say any sharp words or correct them, then the ego will explode and they'll go in Maya. So nowadays, gurus have to blow on painter. So, Jiva Goswami is not like that. So sometimes the guru, like when you're cooking rice, if you take out one grain and squeeze it to see if it's hard. And if it's hard, then you can put it back. But if it's soft, now you know it's done. So sometimes the spiritual master makes a test to see if the guru has become free from ahankara or not. Because the ego finds it hard to accept correction when you've actually done something wrong. Right? If you've actually done something wrong and you are corrected, then still it's hard for the ego to digest it. But to tolerate an accusation, a false accusation, is impossible. So only a very advanced Vaishnava can tolerate a false accusation without becoming agitated. So in this way, Srila Rupa Goswami is showing us, just see, actually Jiva Goswami had no fault, but he reacted very strongly. Or one who wants to assert his self-worth and who takes pleasure in humiliating others cannot stay in Vrindavan, and send him out. But did his bhakti go down? Did he lose faith in Guru? Did he become Guru Drohi against his Guru? No. It was a complete false accusation, and very strict disciplinary measure was applied as well. But his love was not only unaffected, increased more and more. So try to be a shishya, disciple, like Jiva Goswami. His brain is incredible. And there when he was lying on the ground, about to die, in that cave of the crocodile, by the mercy of Rupa Goswami, all the pastimes of Krishna were appearing in his heart, with many, many confidential revelations. And then he wrote it down afterwards and it became Gopal Champu. So it looks as if Rupa Goswami was not giving mercy to him, but he was actually giving more mercy than ever before. Understand? So Guru-Shishya relationship is like this. Sadguru and Satsishya. Not Asad Guru and Asad Shishya. Bogus Guru and bogus disciple. Bogus Guru is always flattering. You're so nice. Very good. Very good. Good collection. Go and collect some more. But Sadguru is like a Brahmin at a goat sacrifice. And the disciples are coming. They're like so many, their material desires are like so many goats standing in a line. And the Guru is the priest there at the goat sacrifice with the upraised chopper. And coming, come on. Come here. And sacrificing, cutting. All material attachments and desires. Because unless they're cut, then hell do bhakti. Anya bilashita shunyam. Jnanakamatitanavitam. Anukulyena krishnanu shiram bhakti uttama. So it said that Gurudev is soft as a rose and harder than a thunderbolt, both. Both. Heart very soft, melting with Krishna praying. But out of mercy also harder than a thunderbolt. So Rupa Goswami has not done anything wrong. And Jiva Goswami was also the perfect disciple. He's really Trinada Pisinichena, more humble than a blade of grass, because he's not acting for himself. My Gurudev said, when Hanuman jumped to Lanka, fought with the soldiers of Ravan and burnt Lanka to the ground, that was Trinada Pisunichi. Because he was not doing it for himself, he was doing it for Lord Ramachandra. Some persons Sahajas, Prakriti Sahajas, they have criticized Srila Jiva Goswami, saying that he is not Rasik because he has supported Swakiyavad. He has supported the married love of Radha Krishna, whereas Rupa Goswami Pad has glorified that Radhika is married to someone else and she's secretly meeting with Krishna, the Parakiyavad. But actually Srila Rupa Goswami is very amazing. In Gopal Champu, he is written in such a way that Radha and Krishna, Radhika gets married to someone else and they are meeting secretly, Radha Krishna meeting secretly. But then later when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he goes to Mathura, he goes to Dwarka, and then later he comes back. Then it's revealed by Yogamaya that Yogamaya had made duplicates of every gopi. And it was that duplicate that was married to the husbands. And then gopis realized, oh, Yogamaya made us feel like we were married, but we were not married at all. So now we have discovered we are single and we can be married to Krishna. And then the gopis, they marry Krishna at the end of Gopal Champu. So then there is some Ridima and some Bhog. A union that is fully nourished, unimpeded, and will go on forever. So he's written in this way, and this is not actually Swakiya. This is not actually Swakiya. This is called Paramaswiya. Paramaswiya. Why? Swakiya is in Dwarka, where Krishna is married to Rukmini, Nagnajiti, Satyabhama, Mitravinda, Jambavati, Lakshmana, and others. But this is not Swakiya. This is called Paramaswiya. Why? Because without the obstacles of Parakiya love, praying cannot go up. It will not manifest to the highest point. So in this Leela, it's not that Radha Krishna got married, now they're in Swakiya. No, they were in Parakiya. The obstacles made the love go, the love is actually self-manifesting, but the obstacles cause it to be manifest. This is an important distinction. Just like in the marketplace, there are so many stalls in the marketplace, and an elephant, a mad elephant, goes on the loose, turning over the stalls and throwing them here and there. So, the stalls in the marketplace are not the cause of the elephant's strength, but they are the cause of the elephant and others knowing how strong he is, because if there weren't any obstacles, then one would not know. So in the same way, the obstacles in Parakiras don't cause the love to be strong, but they're the cause of Radha and Krishna knowing how strong the love is, causing it to be manifest and known, revealed. So they go through the Vrindavan Leela of Parakiya Leela, then Krishna leaves and so on. So when Krishna comes back, and in the end of the pastime, they are married. Then, this is not Swakiya, because the highest love has already been manifest in the previous Leela. It's not going to go down just because they get married. So it's already in an elevated stage. In Dwarka, Rukmini and Satyabhama, they have Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, up to Anurag. But they don't have Mahabhav. But the gopis, they're in the Parakiya Leela, they go up to Mahabhav. And then after that, then they're married to Krishna. So that is called Paramaswiya. It's a Swiya relationship, you are mine. It's legal and legitimate from the point of view of Dharma, but it's not the Swakiya mood of Dwarka, because gopis have already come up to the Mahabhav. So it is called Paramaswiya. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, actually that's not his mood. His mood is Parakiya mood. But he had some disciples, especially one disciple whose name was Gopal. So for him, he wrote that end of Gopal Champu. Because that disciple had an inclination towards the Paramaswiya and not towards Parakiya. So because Gopal and a few other disciples, they had that inclination, and also because Parakiya was a very, very controversial subject at that time in extremely conservative dharmic Hindu society. And common persons, they could not understand it. And even a couple of generations later, at the time of Vishnacharya Thakur, the king of Jaipur, banned the preaching of eternal parakya. It's allowed to say that it was just a pastime made by Yoga Maya, which led to and ends in Paramasriya. This is okay, but don't say that the ultimate goal and the eternal reality in the spiritual world is parakya. You can't preach that. And there are legal documents from the court case. I photographed them and translated them into English as well, if you want to read those legal documents from that court case. So, in order to protect the Sampradaya could have been completely outlawed by the conservative Hindu society if Rupa Goswami hadn't presented an interpretation that would be acceptable for society. And then when a person came and they came on the inside and close to their guru, then the deep truth would be revealed. So Jiva Goswami wrote in his commentary on Ujjwala Nilamani, Swechchaya likitam kinchit, kinchit atta parechchaya. Some things in this commentary I have written due to my own desire, and some things I have written because of the desires of others. So he gave a clue there that some interpretation, some exegesis is necessary on his writing, because everything he wrote, he doesn't stand by everything. So for two reasons: to give that mood to those disciples who are inclined to that mood, and to protect the devotees in Parakya Ras from the censorship of the conservative Hindu society. Jiva Goswami has written in this way. So he's very, very great, transcendental genius. In fact, many persons recognize him to be the greatest philosopher who ever lived. How he was the greatest philosopher who ever lived, I want to illustrate tomorrow. We're just approaching the subject a little bit, gently. But I want to complete this evening with discussing how Jiva Goswami is very rasik. He's not only Tattvavit, expert in philosophy, but he's also rasik. Very soft-hearted and expert in relishing the mellows of Radha Krishna's Leela. Why? Because he's actually the incarnation of Vilas Manjari. He's an eternal maidservant of Srimati Radhika, serving her lotus feet under the guidance, in the gun of Lalita Sakhi, under the guidance of Sri Rupa Manjari. So he's very rasik. You can see how he describes the Leelas of Srimad Bhagavatam in his Gopal Champu. Every step is full of rasa, and especially the Madhurya Leela. In the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, Janma Dasya Yatanvayat Itarataschateshva Vigyaswarat. The entire creation, everything comes Adi, comes from the Supreme Lord, from whom everything has come. Yataha. Supreme Lord is He from whom everything has come. So Janma Dasya means the Janma, the creation, Adi, etc. But another meaning here, Satyam Param Dhimahi, I meditate on that Supreme Lord, from whom comes Adi Rasa, the original Rasa, Madhurya Rasa. That Madhurya Rasa is actually the cause of everything. So even though it looks as if, Krishna is dancing on the head of Kaliya and chastising Kaliya, it looks like Krishna is lifting Giriraj Govardhan, and so on. It looks like Krishna is doing so many pastimes, going to Mathura. But the root cause of every pastime, from just before the beginning of Iskishor Leela and all the way through Iskishor Leela, the root cause is Radha's prema. The love of Radhika is the driving force of every Leela. How is it so? You know that when the coward boys, they drank the water of Kaliya Rad, and they fainted and became unconscious, as if they were dead, as if dead. And then Krishna came there, and seeing his friends all lying on the ground after drinking poison, he just started to cry. And his tears flowed, and they went in rivulets across the ground. And as his tears were flowing here and there, and they touched the bodies of the coward boys, they opened their eyes and came back to consciousness by the touch of Krishna's tears. He was broken-hearted. My friends have died. Try to enter into the Madhurya conception, the sweet conception. Otherwise you think, oh, the friends have died, so Krishna can, oh, my friends have died, no problem, I'm Superman. And then he looks at them with his Superman powers in his eyes and brings them back to life. No! Try to know Gopal, Radharaman, Nandanandan, Shyam Sundar. He's a boy. When he saw his friends were dead, he just burst out crying. What would you do if you're 6 years old? He's only like about 6.5 years old. He just started crying, but it was his tears that revived him. The touch of his tears. And then he jumped into Kaliya, and Kaliya wrapped him up in his coils. And Kaliya was trying to crush him. And there were inauspicious omens in the sky. The Brijbasis saw the inauspicious omens and thought, something is, danger is there for Krishna. And they dropped what they were doing and they all came running. And they came to the bank of the Jamuna river. Running. Nanda Maharaj came, Madhya Yashoda. Madhya Yashoda wanted to enter into the poisoned water to save her son, but Balaram checked her and she fainted. And Krishna was wrapped up in the coils looking. Where are the gopis? My mother came, my father came. Where are the gopis? Okay, the gopis are coming now, they're coming. Just coming right now. Where's Radharani? Where's that daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj? And he's looking, and then he saw when Radharani arrived. Okay, now's my chance to show off. Little boy, always showing off. When the girl is around, who has a crush on her. So this is Purvarag Leela. So then Krishna broke out from Kaliya and began to dance. Right? Why? Because Madhurya Rasa is appearing. You see? When Krishna killed Aghasur, when Krishna killed Putana, when Krishna killed Bakasur, was he dancing? When he killed Denakasur, when he killed Keshi, was he dancing? No. Why? Radharani was not there. But when Radharani came, Krishna Rachai praying, Bhakta Nichai, Api Nichai, Tina Nachya Katai. Praying makes Krishna dance. Praying makes the devotees dance, and praying itself is like a third person also dancing. The three dance together. So then when Radharani came, Krishna was Jai Jai Sri Radhe. He broke out and he was there. Dancing is an anubhav. Dancing, you look. Correct? There are 13 main anubhavs, and one of them is dancing. So it was an overflow because of Radharani's love for him. So this is the Purvarag Leela. Then later, see Krishna, when the gopis were doing a vrat to Katyani on the last day, they did their Avabrita Snan, celebratory bath, and they left their cloth on the river and they jumped in the river. So Radhika and her Sakhis, they didn't do this vrat, but for the celebration on the last day they were invited. So Radhika and her Sakhis came, and everyone was bathing in the river, and Krishna came there and stole their clothes and got up in a tree. Then he told them, well, come out from the water. They sunk down into the water like this, up to here. There's one bhav called Kila Kinchit bhav, you know? Garva bilos alasa rudito, smita suya vayakudam, sankari karna mahasham, uchite Kila Kinchitam. It is harsha, jubilation, garva, pride, avilas, desire, rudita, eyes are crying, smita, mouth is smiling, showing hostility towards Krishna, shrinking away from him in shyness at the same time. All these moods mixed together is called Kila Kinchit Bhav. Ek bhava deki Krishna Radha Sinayan. And when Krishna sees this bhav on the face of Radharani, it gives him 1,000,000 times more happiness than even directly embracing her. But at that time when Krishna in the tree, they saw Krishna was in the tree and all the gopis sank under the water. All the gopis, hundreds of gopis, had Kila Kinchit Bhav on their face at the same time. Adbhut darshan. Krishna had astonishing darshan. He told them come out from the water. He quarreled with them for a long time. Finally it was getting very cold and they were shivering. And they decided they would come out from the water. So there were some little girls about 3 years old, very small, gopis. they put a little girl, 3 years old, at the front, because she's not developed yet. And then 2, who were a little bit older, stood behind her. Then 3 stood behind her, and 4 like that. So they came out of the water in a triangle formation, like this, with the little girls on the edges, so that Krishna couldn't see the girls who were more mature and beautiful and developed. Because when they're little girls, they have so much sneha in their heart that they cannot contain it. You know? If you have a $100 bill in your pocket, no one can see. But if you have $50,000 in your pocket, it starts bulging out, right? So when the gopis, the little girls, they have snare. But this affection becomes so much, their heart cannot contain it, it starts to protrude. So now they become, that is the adolescence. It's not don't think it's biology. Yeah? Now the estrogen is increasing. No. Everything is bhav, everything is ecstatic love. But so all the girls who have become beautiful and mature, they're all hiding in the triangular formation as they come out of the water. So then Krishna, okay, now everyone stand in a line, straight line. And cut. So then they stand in a straight line, but they have long hair, with the long hair over their bodies. Krishna said, you have to, this is offense to have your hair loose. You have to tie up your hair. What lila is this? This is called Lajjached Lila. If Krishna wants to perform Rasa Lila with Braja Gopis, then he'll have to cut away at their shyness step by step. Come out of the water. Stand in a line. You have to tie up your hair. Then they're standing with their hands like this. Then he said, you've made offense to the demigod of the water. You have to give pranam like this. So Jiva Goswami explains, Lajjached Lila. Krishna's cutting. Why? His goal is Rasa Lila. But you cannot go directly there. Because gopis have lajja. So they're very, very chaste and very shy. So in this way, each lila is unfolding one after another in the most beautiful way. When Krishna lifted Giriraj Govardhan, then for 7 days and nights, gopis stayed with Krishna underneath the hill. Because they were thinking, now we are married and we're living with our in-laws, we'll never know what it's like to live together with Krishna in the same house. So Krishna, no problem. 7 days you can stay in the house with me. This is why Krishna lifted Govardhan. Don't think it has anything to do with Indra. In this way, Srila Jiva Goswami is bringing out the sar, the essence. The essence of every lila of Krishna is Radha Prem, the love of Srimati Radha. It is driving everything. One day, Akrura came on a chariot and took Krishna away to Mathura. Why? Do you know what? I just told you the answer to everything is Radha Prem. Oh, do you know what? Radha Prem means. You can't go wrong if you just say Radha Prem. It's the answer to everything. Okay? Why did Krishna appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Radha Prem.
You see, it works in all circumstances. Why are you practicing devotional services?
Radha Prem.
So, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said, Bahanalata stara va atmani vishnu vanjayantyaiva pushpa faladyaha pranata bharavita pamadudara prema vrishtatana vobhabrishusmaha. After the Rasa Lila, the gopi separation was intolerable. Before Rasa Lila, separation is very difficult, purvarag. But after uniting with Krishna so intimately, na so ramana na hama ramani du manu manubhav peshla jani. Oh Krishna, I am not your lover, you are not my beloved. but rather Cupid has taken our hearts and melted them and mixed them together, and we have become one. So after this experience, now separation is completely intolerable. Gopis have become mad. And when Krishna goes to the forest during the day, one gopi is saying this verse. Oh, look at the trees. When Sri Krishna plays his flute, then the trees, they burst into blossom. Flowers appear. And fruit appears. And the branches of the trees, being heavy with flowers and fruits, they bow down to Krishna. Just like a great person, like a sadhu, who realizes Vishnu in his heart, then he manifests, hair standing on end, tears flowing from his eyes. These trees are crying also with honey from their branches. And then he becomes very humble and bows down. So these trees are like that. And trees and creepers. Vana latas tarava. Trees and creepers. So gopis are speaking in this way. But the inner meaning is this. Vana latas tarava atmani Vishnu. Gopis are saying lata, creeper, and then taru, tree. Usually we say taru lata, not lata taru. You say the tree first because the tree is the main thing and the lata is smaller. But gopis are saying lata taru. It indicates the emphasis on the lata, on the creeper. Why? Because the creepers are trembling, the creepers are crying tears of honey and blossoming with flowers. And the tree is like the husband, and the creeper is like the wife of the tree. Now, Braj Gopis, being the crest jewel of all Maha Bhagavats, Sarva Bhuteshu Ya Pasyat Bhagavam Atmana, Bhagavat Tuttama Atman Esha Bhagavat Uttama. They see their own mood in everything else. And they try to hide it, but it comes out. So though they're talking about the trees and creepers, but actually it is their own brain that they're seeing in the trees and creepers, and which is revealed by their words. At the same time, while they're trying to hide their love, their secret love is being revealed by their description of the love that they're seeing in the trees and creepers. So this means that, O Saki, just see how this wife of the tree is having ecstatic symptoms even in the presence of her husband. The latter is having ecstatic symptoms even in the presence of her husband. She cannot hide it. So the inner meaning of the verse is that now the gopis' separation is so intense. Though before they could hide it from their family members, now they're becoming mad. And they cannot hide their love from Krishna, love for Krishna, from their mother-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, husband, and so on. This is the meaning. So because of this, Krishna is very shy. He wonders, what will happen if anyone finds out and there's a scandal in the village and everyone will criticize the gopis. I fear for this. And Krishna himself becomes shy. And so it is said that there was an ocean of love. And Krishna fell into that ocean. That ocean of love had been whipped up into huge waves. You know what makes the waves in the ocean?
Radha Prem.
The moon. Yes. Correct. But we're just doing the other part of the metaphor first, and then we'll come. What makes the waves? The moon. Moon is the cause of the tides, right? The waves in the ocean. So one moon makes all the waves. But what if there were millions of moons? So the faces of Braja Gopis, especially Radhika, are like millions of moons, whipping the ocean of love into so many tidal waves. And Krishna has fallen in, and he's helplessly being thrown here and there. That's called Braja Lila. Yeah? Right? Okay? Yes, Lord Brahma can say, Ishvara, Paramaha, Krishna. Okay, that's good. If you're not a Brijvasi. If you want to go to Vaikuntha, or just Golok, or Dwarka, it's okay. But if you want to attain Braja, then you have to follow the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. No, Krishna is helpless, thrown here and there, and drowning in the ocean of love, which is whipped up into high waves by millions and millions of gopis' smiling faces. But you know, sometimes a helpless person who is lost in the ocean, the waves carry him, and he becomes like a, you know,
Castaway.
a castaway. He's washed up on the shore. So don't think that Kamsamara sent Akrura, and Akrura brought Krishna to Mathura. But you should think that because of Krishna's shyness and his fear that the scandal would bring ill fame to his most beloved Braja Gopis, Krishna's waves of shyness carried him like a castaway and washed him up on the shore of Mathura. And there's another meaning. That the shore is dry, right? Sand. It's not like the ocean. So Vrindavan is like an ocean of rust, and Mathura is like a dry sand. No, actually it's true that the pastimes in Mathura also have lots of rasa in them. So the Mathura Basis say. It's a philosophical point. But just from the point of view of Abhiman, Radhikara Dasi Jadi Hoy Abhiman, Shigaram Tavako Kulakan. From our point of view as the followers of Rupa Goswami, then the waves of Krishna's shyness have washed him up on the dry sand of the Mathura Villa. So, what is the cause?
Radha Prem.
In this way, Srila Jiva Goswami, full of ras, gives astonishing insights into Krishna Lila that no one could have imagined. So in this way, on this Adivas Titi, the day before his appearance, I'm offering my Shraddha Pushpanjali at his lotus feet. Srila Jiva Goswami Pada Ki Jai! Vrindavan Vihari Lal Ki Jai! Saniwari Ki Jai! Jai Shri Radhe!
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Srila Prem Prayojan Ki Jai.
Jai. So tomorrow is Lord Vamandev's appearance as well. So in the first part of the class, I'll briefly outline some essence of the pastimes of Lord Vamandev, and then we'll continue with the great philosophical contribution of Srila Jiva Goswami. So, Kirtan. You've been sitting a long time, so.
Thank you.
You can see go anytime not sitting down during Kirtan. Take everything. Yeah, you'll see it. Yes, sir. I'm so happy that you could come all the way from Miami. Where's your mama? What are you hungry? Do you know his mama?
What's her name? Manavi.
You have to do austerity so many years to meet his mama.
Manavi.
She's a great life coach. Bale Vrindavan Vihari Radha Ki Jai, Bale Sanyamani Ki Jai, Jai Shri Radhe. O Mero Radha Raman